Good morning, good morning, good
Good
morning,
morning.
nephew.
Good morning.
How is it going?
It's going pretty well. Going pretty well. How you doing, Auntie?
I'm good, I'm good. I can't go on without showing you this. I looked at it. I keep it right here on this chair.
Hmm.
You know what this is?
Yeah, it's like something that Grandma made.
It is. She cannot believe I still have every last one that she made.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
were
Somebody
talking
stole one
yesterday.
of mine while I was in college.
What?
Yeah, she had to end up
I'm
making another
sorry.
one, so it's upstairs in the closet. I don't even use it anymore. Like I
Yeah.
just keep it in there.
These things keep you, this is a different kind of warm.
Hmm.
I'm serious. I thought about it because we talked about her yesterday in a very great way. And,
Hmm.
I looked at it this morning and I thought, oh, I'm going to make sure the world knows that I have my blanket of love.
Right. Even I had a hat that we went home not too long ago, and Glenn found one of the beanie crochet
Mm-hmm.
hats that grandma made, and it was
Mm-hmm.
it was in FAMU colors, and I didn't end up going to FAMU. Glenn was like, "What you need this for? You should let me have it." I was like, "Yeah, if you
I
get some use out of it,
know.
go ahead." It's still in the same household, other than it just sitting in the drawer. So I
So
was like,
she's
"Okay."
using it.
She's worn it a few
Cool
times.
beans. Cool beans. I have some of those too. I have to show you those tomorrow. I have the scarves and the hats. And when I
Hmm.
do wear them, I get so many. There's one in particular that I get so many compliments from because of the colors in it. But I have the hat and the scarf for
Hmm.
several.
And Nala has one. I love hers. Like we
Ah,
had to take it to the
oh,
dry cleaner. She had a accident on it, just baby stuff. It came out of the Pampers, so we had to take it to the dry cleaners. But it's still in her room now, and it's
no.
I think it's like these paisley colors, it's pink and mint green and some other stuff. Like man, this thing is gonna be cherished forever.
Yeah.
Like when she becomes an adult, she can look back and say, "Well, this is something." Can't necessarily remember talking to grandma, but this is something that I have from her. But I have the videos though, so I'll show her just babbling, just
She may remember. Wait a minute now. She may get that
she
opportunity.
might remember. Yeah, she might.
Yeah.
She may.
Yeah. Yeah. So grandma's a special. There's some things I still remember as a young girl, and you would think I wouldn't, but not a lot. But there's some things that I particularly remember, like that I can. I was a little girl.
Hmm.
Um, so never know. Don't count it out yet.
We'll
So
see. I try to capture everything almost now.
all right. So good morning, good morning, good morning, great people. You know why we're here if you've been rocking with us. If you've not, then welcome to the barbecue. Bring a plate, but do come. The plate can be this right here. Daily Motivations for African American Success, written by Dennis Kimbro. So if you've been rocking with us, and I must say it again, and you do not have this book, something's wrong with your rocking chair, right? If you're new, please go get this book. Support Dennis Kimbro because again, like the book says, and I'm gonna share it with you in just a minute, what it teaches you will last a lifetime. And don't we need some lifetime teachings, right? Something that helps us throughout the day to be intentional. So, daily motivations for African American success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead you to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 but powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes, but also when to say no, and when to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans, such as, but not limited to, Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh. That's where I heard that word, fresh encouragement,
Hmm.
nephew, every day of the year. But what it teaches you, as I just mentioned, will last a lifetime. And Black Enterprise says that each affirmation in this valuable and thought provoking book takes only a few minutes to read, but it is worthy of more time for contemplation. And then I'll end with this and turn it over to nephew. If there is any power that can reverse the fortunes of a race, it is character, writes
Mhm.
Kimbro. Every thought which enters our mind, every word we utter, every deed we perform makes its impression on the innermost fiber of our being. Over to you, nephew.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Again, good morning. Let's jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump right into it. This passage is not one of the lengthier passages, but it definitely brings about a shift in mindset and a need to recognize your own gifts and talents as they attach to what you feel your purpose to do. So this is day 64. It's day 64. Thank you for joining us on this April 5th. Everyone that's joining us live right now, I'm pretty sure Miss Brenda is on. She's one of our just consistent. At this point, we might need to bring on the show just to say, hey, can we get some feedback on what it is that you've learned thus far, which would be pretty telling in how impactful the book has been. But this is day 64, and the topic for the day is you did that on purpose. You know, you did that on purpose. You did that on purpose. The quote comes from the great Michael Jackson. We all know who Michael Jackson is. If you don't know who Michael Jackson is, I'm going to assume that you've been under a rock for the last 60 years, I would say. You've been
Hmm.
under a rock for the last 60 years. But the quote from Michael reads, "We must all find our true purpose. Like Michelangelo or Mozart or Leonardo da Vinci, each of us must develop a mission in life. Each of us must develop a mission in life." And the passage reads, occasionally we can see a strange sight at sea. The wind, the tide, the surface of the ice will all move in one direction, but sailing majestically against the forces will be an iceberg. The reason is not hard to find. We see only a small part of the iceberg, but deep down in the water is the base, controlled by more powerful and deeper currents. Controlled by more powerful and deeper currents. Strength of character is a powerful current that keeps us going in the right direction. Each of us has a unique purpose. People only begin to fulfill their creative potential when they have a high degree of alignment in their lives. That is, when their pursuits and goals are in line with their own purpose. The most fundamental definition of personal power is having the capacity to realize your purpose. The most fundamental definition of personal power is having the capacity to realize your purpose. Personal vision is the key to unlocking its power. Vision is a picture of the future that you wish to create. A vision is the vehicle for bringing purpose into the realm of acts and commitments. More people should realize that each of us needs to settle a purpose in life as an aiming point. Then by doing our very best every day, we will reach this point in which we have set our compass. Those of us who do remarkable things in our own lives have a clear vision stemming from a deep and pervasive sense of purpose. And the affirmation reads, I will align my purpose with my goals. I will align my purpose with my goals. For the black people in the back, I will align my purpose with my goals. What do you think about that one, Auntie?
I want to start right with you did that on purpose. Typically, when you say that to someone or it's said to you, that means someone thinks that you did something wrong,
Usually, yep.
but you usually, but you and they're saying no, you did that on purpose. Like I don't know if you give me an example, nephew. It could be anything, I guess.
Well, I was
Someone.
talking to my boss about it yesterday. I was asking him how all of his children came out with a strong sense of work ethic. And the word that, he said, well, it was purposeful, and I did
Mhm.
it with intentionality. And so because of that, they saw me, I ingrained it with them. And so this was a positive. I did that on purpose for all of his children to come out with a
Mm.
strong work ethic.
That's interesting because think about as a parent to be, we have children and we don't really think about what are the things, the values that I want to instill in this child and how do I do that? So that's powerful. And you say all of them came, all of them have
All
that.
the three. When we had
Mm.
he went child by child, and then after he finished the conversation, he was like, "I don't even know how we got here. We've been talking for hours." And I'm like, you start to explain and express and tell me about your kids. I didn't stop you. I was gleaming and learning. He has adult kids. I have a toddler.
Wow. That's a great, great message to receive because even as I think about my own parenting, um, truth be told, I did it, um, but not with purpose, but not with a goal or a plan. I'm gonna just be honest because I was, it's kind of one of those things you do it by going through the motion of doing it.
Hmm.
But I'm glad we're going here. Wow, because the better we do with this generation of children, our young people, like with Tupac, grandma, what does confidence mean?
Hmm.
And so I am much more intentional, oh gosh, with my grandkids. And I remember Brandon asking me, where did all this awareness come from? And I wasn't offended by it, y'all, because I am more aware of myself. Whereas then I put me to the side
Hmm.
and I'm saying, let me focus on him. Oh my gosh, thank you. Because I was just sharing with a mother yesterday. It's one of the best things we can give our children is the best version of ourselves.
Hmm.
Period. Let them see you doing you, loving you on purpose. On purpose. Let them not see, oh, it wasn't just a mistake that you found your way, you found your purpose. No, mother, father was intentional about this, and this is what you deserve,
Hmm.
right? So just starting off with that, when someone says you did that on purpose, it usually means that, and if we can bring it back to the show, meaning us personally, what if someone said, no, you lived your life on purpose. The way you turned out was on purpose. You did that on purpose. That's nobody's fault. It's yours. You
Yeah, I
did.
would. I actually want someone to say that. I would
Wow.
love for somebody to say that when I leave this earth.
And not mean that you made a mistake in it. He
Yeah,
lived his life on purpose, in
on
purpose.
purpose. Yep. Well,
Right. So just so go nephew.
what I was going to add, just in building a relationship with God, and throughout the book, David mentions multiple times, quotes the Bible, mentions, I mean, most of everything that we read, if not everything, is a spiritual affirmation to the sense of not just stemming from the Bible, from a collective spiritual truth that comes from many different religions. And from a Christianity standpoint, we talk about love. We've been on the topic of love the last session and previous sessions, and now we get an opportunity to talk about purpose, where there are two things that really, really embody and really allow you to behave and to have a kingdom mindset about everything that you do, no matter
Mm.
what the subject is. And one of those things is love, and the other thing is purpose. God does things on purpose and with purpose. That's how God moves. So sometimes when we're questioning life because we don't, the word tells us that his thoughts are higher than ours. His mind is higher than ours. The knowledge is something that we really can't even comprehend if we were given it. And we have to trust and have faith and hope in that will and that purpose. But if you want to operate like God, if you want to move and truly find peace and all these things that you feel like you're lacking, is to grow in spiritual maturity and not to stay physically immature, because when you're physically immature in the flesh, you tend to consistently do things without purpose. So if somebody was to ask you, or say, hey, what's your explanation for why you did X, Y, and Z, you have no response because it had no purpose. You can't tell them. When I tell you, auntie, growing up in the church and somehow having that ingrained in whatever way I was exposed to it. I don't know if it came from my mother, or some just being around the word all the time. But it really started to I used to have an issue, especially when I was in college, when people would tell me, especially if I was dating you and you did something that you knew didn't make sense, and then I asked you why you did it, and then you say, "Well, I don't know." Oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I can't trust you at that point. I cannot
Oh
trust you.
my
You
goodness.
can't trust you.
Nephew, say it again for the people in the back.
Right. If your response is I don't know, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Why? Why?
Because what you're illustrating or what you're describing or conveying to me is you do things that are unpredictable that might put you at danger and you don't even have an explanation for it. So that means that you don't have a forethought before jumping into something and realizing this might not be the best thing for me. And that's questionable. Now, if I'm talking about spending time, spending life with you, in the sense of even if it's we're dating or in a situationship before, all I feel like all relationships before marriage or situationships, because it all comes with mess. Y'all got to unpack your baggage before you get ready to truly say I do. If you're going to have a successful marriage, but especially when you're going through the motions, trying to mature yourself, I was never a person that truly was like, "Hey, I'm gonna just go do this," and just because. Bec- because what? And most of the time it's peer pressure, or you think it might be cool, or you heard somebody else say it was kind of a cool thing to do, so you went and did it yourself, or it didn't mean anything, or you didn't take everybody that was attached to that situation and what your actions were going to be and how it was going to affect them. That says so much to me. That says a level of inconsideration for the people around you, inconsideration for yourself. There's no thought process. You didn't put no plan. There was no vision behind it. Like I'm the type of person, if I'm gonna do something wrong, I did it on purpose. Like I know what I did. If you come and ask me about it, I can tell you why I did it. But if I do something wrong and then I tell you I don't know why I did it, that's scary to me. That's extremely scary to me. It echoes immaturity, and I don't. That's not a 15% of a person that I want to have around me. Like I don't want to
Mm,
share that same attribute with you.
mm.
Like I don't want that.
Nephew, I want to read this part. Occasionally, we can see a strange sight at sea. All right. It says a strange sight at sea. The wind, the tide, and the surface ice will all move in one direction. The wind, the tide, and the surface ice will all move in one direction. But sailing majestically against these forces will be an iceberg. What is an iceberg? A piece of freshwater ice that has broken off a glacier or an ice shelf and it's floating freely in open salt water, right? So it has broken off from the glacier. What is a glacier? A large perennial accumulation of crystalline ice, snow, rock, sediment, and often liquid water that originates on land and moves down slope, right? Under the influence of its own weight and gravity. Y'all, if we apply this to life, the iceberg, a piece of freshwater ice that has broken off the glacier or an ice shelf and is floating freely in open salt water. The glacier, when I read this and I thought about the large perennial accumulation of crystalline ice, snow, rock, I'm substituting these words with accumulation of, let's just say glacier is the trauma,
Hmm.
and the iceberg, you're the part that broke off and is now floating freely in open salt water. But it goes on, if you know about the iceberg, it says density explains why most of the iceberg is found
Hmm.
beneath the ocean's surface, beneath, in you, right? Under all that stuff that the iceberg broke away from. And what if we did that on purpose every day? Like nephew says, I want somebody to say that. He lived on purpose. You did that, little Will, on purpose, right?
Hmm.
Rather than saying that in a way that um, no, you hurt my feelings on purpose.
Right. Right. Right.
You did that on purpose, which is an assumption, because when your feelings are hurt, you really should address why are my feelings
Hmm.
hurt, not who hurt them. Why do I feel hurt in this situation? Because when you say you did it on purpose, you're looking for them to pull you out of your feelings and your emotions. So
Right.
go and deal with that thing on purpose first. Why do I feel this way? Why did this offend me? And then you can go back and have the conversation. Or next time someone asks you, why did you do that? Your answer is not, I don't know.
Right.
Because it'll remain, I don't know, if you don't address your reaction,
And
your responses.
if you don't address it, you may not ever find out.
Right.
You may
Right.
not ever find. You may not, like you say all the time. You got to go unpack. You have to unpack. But in
Hmm.
order to unpack, you have to consistently ask yourself why. Like, why do I feel this way? Why is this my response? Why, when this situation always arises or something similar to it, I always react or respond this way? That's huge. That's huge. And to your point, Auntie, when you think about being that iceberg, a lot of the things we don't see as people are moving forth in their purpose. We only see what people want us to see, kind of. And it's not totally. I won't use social media as a reference, but I'll use Michael Jackson as a reference. I use his story as a reference to, we didn't know everything about Michael while he was living in his purpose. We didn't know all the things that he had been through, to maybe the American Dream movie that came out, or some of the other things, where Ashley Mia spoke about, to whereas, okay, you're talking about someone who their entire life was in entertainment. Their entire life was in entertainment. There are things that we might see from the outside looking in, as he's fulfilling his purpose, and as people did quite often was judging him. So you're being judged a lot of times, but you're moving still in purpose, as if it's not touching you, if it's as if it's not bothering you. You're still going to operate in your purpose because you know this is where you need to be. That is an amazing place, because you're able to not only put things in a space, you can compartmentalize, in a sense, all the things that people don't know about you, to keep moving forward, because you place them correctly and prioritize your life correctly. And yeah, you moving with forces, and there are things around you, and even when you're moving in your purpose, maybe what people are made up of around you is not the same thing that you're made up of, because that's your purpose. It's only for you. Like, it's for you to fulfill. God has given it to you. So that's why you can be in open waters, and you can be a freshwater iceberg, but you're in salt water. And we can go into the scientific references and analogies as to how much more this makes sense for how you should move in your life. But one of the things I definitely want to touch on before we get out of here in a few minutes is identifying your purpose. I think that's the most difficult thing that we oftentimes face in life, is truly like identifying it. And one of the things that, when he referenced deep waters, and it's funny because I found a proverb that referenced deep waters in regards to your purpose. When he referenced deep waters, you 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 have there's so much underneath the surface,
Mm.
so much underneath the surface. And a lot of times during this I seeking out or trying to identify your purpose, is trying to figure out what should be on the surface, opposed to what's not going to be revealed as in the water, as we going throughout life. And this was a conversation that Brandon and I have had multiple times. When we were, I would say this conversation started in middle school, to be
Oh,
completely honest
wow.
with you. There was a time that he came to visit, and rewrote poetry. This might have been maybe 4 or 5 years before he decided to, try to be an R&B star. I'm gonna mess with him about that. So,
Right, right.
before he went into, singing and into entertainment, that was a dream or a vision that we both had. So we decided to write some music while he was there. One summer that he came to visit. And one thing that I've done is to try again to be a lifetime learner. And I
Mhm.
started at a young age, to whereas I always had this rule: if I can learn from somebody else opposed to going through it myself, then that will give me a step ahead. Or maybe I don't have
Ooh.
to experience it myself. And I've literally have thought this way my entire life.
Say
And
that again. Say that again, because so many young people miss that, and that's one of the, even knucklehead Brandon. Like if I tell you, I've said, dude, I've been rocking with you. I've been down for you. You know that. If I say the building is on fire,
It's on
excuse
fire.
me, y'all. Don't take your ass in the building.
Right,
Trust me,
right,
it's
right.
on
It is
fire.
on
It
fire.
is
That
on
thing is
fire. Because if
ablaze.
you go in there now, I'm gonna have to come in there and try to find you.
Right.
You messing all of us up. So that's one of the most important things young people learn. Listen, 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 and just trust
Mhm.
the people that have shown you. Sorry to say that, but
No,
it's
you're
so
fine.
important. A young
You're
person that
fine.
might hear
You
this.
you you need that input in order to navigate through identifying what your purpose is. And sometimes people's purpose, and this truth be told, let's think about I'm gonna use this just as a Bible reference. I mean, what Moses was in his almost in his 60s before he went back to deliver the children of Israel from Egypt. He was almost 60 or something, or 60 or so.
Hmm. Hmm.
We have so many other entertainers that we don't know about them until they're in their 40s or late 40s. And then now you see them flourish. Sometimes it takes time, but one thing that I will say in regards to purpose, you have to truly, truly be intentional. 60, okay, okay, Miss Brenda,
Yeah,
okay,
she's
is
in
that?
she's in with us and been in since we started. So is my brother Mike. So good morning. We didn't say that. Good morning, you guys, and whomever else is listening, YouTube and all of that good stuff. Yeah, but she says she was. It took me 62 years to realize that my purpose is to love and validate me, and not look for love and validation from outside of myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One of the
62
greatest
years.
things, 62 years. One of the greatest things that I've heard from me as it relates to purpose, and it allowed me to let it go, was that all of, and I'm going to say this is how it was told to me. I'm not saying that this is for you, but our purpose is to glorify the kingdom of God
Hmm.
in what we do, because what
Hmm.
we do may change. Your purpose there in what you do does not change. And that's why what I mean when I say, when I started to look at what I did as an assignment, right, as a servant for God, then it wasn't about what I was doing, because for me it was difficult, and I still think it is. It would be for me to be like, okay, what is my one purpose here on
Hmm.
this earth, right? And so when I heard that from my spiritual mom, Miss Arlene, um, is that our purpose is to glorify God's kingdom in how
Hmm.
I live my life, right? And so that means I have to do it with excellence, as we've talked about. And you
And do it
guys,
for your best as if you're doing it for God.
for God, I read that an emotional cold person is considered to be an iceberg.
Mm, mm,
An emotional cold person. What is an emotional cold person? And see, this is where I mean you got to go back and do the work, because what you'll learn will last you a lifetime. Don't just hear us. Go back. It's like, okay, they said an emotional cold person. Am I? Because sometimes you are something that you don't know, because you've been it for so long, and
yep.
you've come
You've been
adapted
conditioned.
to it.
That's the
Right,
conditioning. Yeah.
right. You've accepted it, and it's how you do life. Into anything, somebody can try to love you. We've talked about that. Someone can try to love you, and you don't have the space in internally to receive it. Think about the iceberg sank the Titanic.
Hmm.
Was the reason, right? So we are you did that on purpose. What does that mean to you? You
Yeah.
did that. You're doing this on purpose. You're living your life, because if you get up every day with no goal, no plan, where is it here in this part that it talks about the vision? Personal vision is the key to unlocking its power. Vision is the picture of the future that you wish to create. Vision is the vehicle for bringing purpose into the realm of acts and commitments. Remember the bricklayer who looked outward, he
Hmm.
looked beyond to see what he was building.
Right.
Look, take snapshot, take a picture, and develop it through your actions, through your goals. Over to you, nephew. It's 7:30, 8:30 your time. I don't know if you need to zip out early this morning.
Yeah, let's go for another 5 or so minutes because
Okay,
just to
over
go
to
through
you.
it. So your point is funny how you And I want to bring it to a close with the mentioning, having this conversation about purpose at an early age. And just a little context, ladies and gentlemen, for Brandon and myself, we have dabbled in different things throughout life. I mean, that's what it is. I was just mentioning how, he used to be an entertainer, actually a musician in the sense of, just R&B singer is what I would essentially just name it as. And that was a season in life, and some of us are going to go through season in lives, and we have purposes attached to assignments. So some of the gifts and talents that make room for us are attached to us for an assignment that was made with purpose. And so that's why you see people be able to kind of navigate into different things, but ultimately their foundation and who they are fundamentally is essentially the same, which is to glorify the kingdom of God, to display the love of God to everyone that you touch, and to do everything that you do with love. That's why you see people navigate the different places, but it truly is like we could spend a lot more time on trying to truly identify your purpose and what that looks like. But from what you said, Auntie, you mentioned the vision, and so the book read, vision is the vehicle for bringing purpose into the realm of acts and commitments. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to see it. Once it becomes a true purpose in your life, if you can't imagine it, if you can't see it, you're not going to be able to do it. There's a lack there of confidence. There's going to be something that's always tugging and pulling, trying to dismay what you feel like you should be doing it because you can't see it. And that's when you need to question, should I be doing it? Because if you can't see yourself doing it, then why are you doing it? That means
Hmm.
the purpose is not attached to it if you can't see yourself doing it. And for those of you who don't know, and for those who do, the word tells us where there's no vision, my people perish.
Yeah.
Where there's no vision, my people perish. Like if they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you can't see why you're doing this, if you can't see the benefit of what you're doing and how it's going to touch and benefit the whole or the masses, then why are you doing it? And a lot of times, what we feel like is our purpose is only for our self-aggrandizement. It's only for our selfish intentions because what we see is going to have some reciprocity for you and you alone. But what you see and what God has placed in your heart is not just for you. That's one of the other criterias of your purpose. If you're operating in something that's not solely settled for just you, it's not just for you alone. God didn't give you something for just you and only for you to gain some type of benefit or reciprocity for it. It was for you to be able to be assigned to those in a relational aspect of how you're going to touch and impact their lives in a positive way. Last
Hey,
few things.
nephew, can I say this really quick? So I looked up the word purpose and it says the reason for which something is done, created, or for which something exists, and intended or desire result in gold, right? Intended or desired result in gold. That makes me think about, so if we were having a meeting, um, say if we needed a dancer, right, for something, and we had auditions, would we select the person or the people who put on their application? Do you like to dance? No. Would we even give them a chance?
I mean,
Does that sound crazy?
yeah, that doesn't sound. Yeah, it's
Yeah. They
why.
don't like to dance. Why are they here? They do know that this is for a dance thing, right? But they don't like to dance. You gotta think crazy, outside of the box, maybe is a better word, um, for this life, for your life. And just like as beautiful as a glacier is, right? The iceberg breaks away. As beautiful as it is. And some of y'all looking at yourselves, you're lying to yourselves. So start one day at a time, because the purpose, right? You can't fulfill the purpose. And maybe this is something we should add to purpose, is to heal, to be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you know God's will for you. You hear his voice and you take action. I'll leave it there, nephew, because we'll be
So
here another hour if we don't.
right, yeah, we definitely can break this up because I know for without a shadow of a doubt, people, everyone needs some more insight on this. Even after you feel like you've established what your purpose is, It's going to run a course. It's going to have a season, as the word has told us. And then once you fulfill your assignment, then you're going to come to this starting line again. And you're like, well, wait a minute. How am I here again? Like, why am I at the starting line again? So, but I want to touch on the deep waters, and then we can go ahead and get out of here. The passage read, "Deep down in the water is the base, controlled by more powerful and deeper currents." Here's the correlation. Proverbs
Mm,
19:21 reads, "Many are the plans in a person's heart." So you have a lot of plans in your heart, a lot of reasons that you have plans in your heart. External factors, things you've been exposed to, your mind and learning and being educated about additional things can create all these plans in your heart. So you want to do everything. Believe me, I know I've been there. That's what I was alluding to when Brandon and I were talking about it, even at a young age. Like there's so many things you want to do. Like there's so many things you can do. You might be a overly talented individual, especially if you're physically talented. That just opens up the door, especially in the Black community. If you're physically talented, usually that takes precedence over everything else. Like you should go play football, basketball, play baseball, go play soccer now.
yeah.
Like go do something else. So the word says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." And so
Mm,
it's to say, hey, I know you have all this going on in your heart. I know you've determined that because it's in your heart, that seems like something that you should be doing. But what's going to come out of it that you need to recognize is what the Lord's will and purpose is for your life. And that's ultimately what's going to take precedence. Not all these other things, not your mama, your daddy telling you because you can run fast, you should run track or play football. Not because you can shoot the basketball or you yell Curry every time you shoot in the driveway that you're going to be the next Steph Curry. No, it could be the fact that you can read a book in a week and you're only in seventh grade. It could be some other talent or some other thing that's attached to you that's not being recognized or being pulled from you from the external factors that are helping to create all of these different desires and plans in your heart. Proverbs 20:5, as we talk about deep waters. So it says, "Deep down in the water is the base, controlled by more powerful, deeper currents."
mm,
Proverbs 20:5 reads, The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters."
mm,
The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters. In my mind, that's endless. Because when we think about the ocean, we don't know how deep it goes. We have an idea, but we don't know how deep it goes. And we sometimes spiral, like we spiral out of control, trying to chase everything that's in our heart. Somebody's going to hear this and it's going to hit them right in their chest. But sometimes we spiral out of control because we have so many plans in our heart. And so, therefore, you never complete anything, you never finish anything, but you're trying to do everything. And you think just trying to do everything is going to ultimately bring you back fulfillment and fulfill the purpose that God has for you. But you're also questioning how nothing's truly pulling itself apart or working itself out and showing itself to be, oh, this is the staple. This is the cash cow. This is the focus. This is where my vision was taking me. Sometimes that gets convoluted. But the rest of the word reads, "The purpose of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out." And how do we gain
mm,
insight? We gain insight by aligning with God's will and purpose over our lives. And that means you have to commune with Him. You have to talk to Him daily. You have to truly meditate on the fact that, hey, Lord, I need insight on what would you have me do in this life. Because I know my needs will be taken care of. You've already told me that. I know if I knock on the door, that I know that you will answer. I know that at times that as it's attached, you will give me my wants and desires of my heart by me fulfilling what it is and what purpose and will you have on my life. There is a order, ladies and gentlemen, in the kingdom. You can't skip, you can't go around, you can't do it. It ain't no shortcuts. Whatever God is planning for you, it might look like a shortcut through social media for somebody else to obtain something that maybe you wanted or a dream that maybe you had on your heart. But ask yourself, were you too focused on the wrong thing and moving in with no purpose to the wrong area because you thought that's what you should have been doing? Or have you truly attached to, okay, if I go in the direction that God has given me, I'm going to trust and believe and have faith that where I end up is exactly the purpose and in alignment with the will that He has for me, and then everything else will be added unto me. It says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you."
Nephew, I dropped down there insight, the capacity to gain an accurate, listen, look at that word, and deep waters, right?
Mhm.
Deep, intuitive understanding of a person or thing. That person is yourself. Because you can't understand me if you don't understand you, right?
Right. And you
So,
can't tell anyone about you if you don't understand you.
right.
I don't know.
And write the vision. Y'all start journaling. Write the vision, make it plain. Habakkuk, right? Write the vision
Habakkuk.
and make it
Yep.
plain. Don't just have a vision or a goal. Write it out. Put it on the
Yes.
wall. What is it that you want to do? I have sticky notes, right? And I mean, they are reminders. I have my war room, right? Where I go in and do my thing, right? With God alone. Create something that gets you where you're going, but you got to see it. You got to know where you are and you got to know where you're going.
Yes,
Over to
ma'am.
you, Nephew.
Let's say that I close with this. We're gonna do the affirmation, and I'll give a little another comment. Then we're out. Until the
Okay.
I will align my purpose with my goals. I will align my purpose with my
Purpose with my
goals for the
goals.
people in the back, especially the black folk. I will align my purpose with my goals. This is another nugget for everyone who is listening, who is still trying to figure out what their purpose is in life. One thing that I would tell you is God is looking for somebody that will show up every single time. So you have to be willing to show up for yourself. If you're completing something, if you're on an assignment, if you're doing something that was attached to your heart and you're still trying to figure it out, whatever you start, finish.
Mm,
Whatever you start, finish, because it's a part of the plan that God has for your life. And what that shows, not only him, because he already knows, but it's reinforcing the trust that he has for you and what it is that he's going to give to you or bring to you that's attached to your purpose. And it also shows you that you know how to finish. So you don't walk through life not trying to figure out your purpose, but then you never finish anything because you're trying to find your purpose first. We have to do things in decency and order. So you have to, whatever you start, you must complete. Once you started,
mm,
whether it's a degree program, whether it's you saying you're gonna buy a house, gain a certification, lose that weight, you need to prove it to yourself that whatever you start, you can finish. Otherwise, it will make it more difficult for you to truly find what your purpose is, because you're looking for, oh, okay, if it's my purpose and to make room for me, it should be easy. Everything's not going to be easy. If
mm.
it's difficult, it's for you to learn how to get through this difficult situations, how to persevere, how to be persistent, how to commit to it, how to see it through. You have to be able to do that in order to truly gain your purpose. Because when your purpose comes, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to persevere. You're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to commit. You're going to have to see it through until you leave this earth. Because now you know who you are and whose you are truly. So walk in purpose, but finish what you start.
What's your follow up? I'll ask y'all that today. What's your follow up to your plan, to your goal, to your, how do you respond to them? Is it something that you've been wanting or needing to do, and you keep saying you're going to do it, and you start it, but you don't follow up, you don't follow through, right? And if you're confused, I'm gonna say this, and we're out. If you're confused about what your purpose is, stop looking for it and start seeking God.
Hmm.
Just start reading the Word or reading a book. Do something daily and pray. Ask God. Ask God for it, right? All right.
Yes,
So, nephew, that's it for us. Thank you to all of those of you who rocked with us this morning. We will be back. Well, I will be back tomorrow. It's Saturday. I will be back tomorrow. You're out, right?
yes, ma'am.
All right. So y'all will just have me unless it's somebody out there that feels like they want to join me. Let me know. If not, I'm coming to the barbecue. If I'm the only one there, I'm gonna do the grill. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna dance by myself.
Bob's.
Coming to the barbecue. All right. All right, nephew. Enjoy your weekend. Peace, and I'll see you on Monday, maybe.
See you on
We'll
Monday.
talk about it. Okay.
We'll talk. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Peace, y'all. Peace.